Okay, so this is my little project. This is my this is recording attempt one. Let's see how well that goes down. Right. This is my first time like using OBS or anything, so it's gonna be an experience. This is also my first time actually using this mic. I'm probably gonna switch to a better mic in the future if I ever do continue doing this. Um, so yeah, I've been trying to make a Kawamon mod for the longest time. At first, I was just like, to low-key cheat on some servers. I'm sorry. Um, but now I'm just in it for the love of the game. Um, and honestly, Kotlin has made this so much more bearable. I understand why they call them undevs just to do this. They're all great people, by the way. I've seen a few of their development little town halls or whatever you'd call them, where they all sit around and bounce ideas. Really interesting shit. So yeah, this is the mod. I'm gonna show off what it can do right now. I've dipped my toe in a little bit. Um, just really simple stuff. All the boilerplate and all of this. I don't want to talk about any of that. That can get locked away. But honestly, it's pretty it's pretty okay from here. I have like what do I have? I have like two tools, um, three models total, maybe, and then a few icons. I guess technically four models, and then a few textures, plus a ton of tags and stuff for the blocks and items. Actually, there aren't any blocks yet. Technically there's blocks, but they don't have any special tags, so they're just treated as treated with the default tags, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. This is like a week into Minecraft modding, and I'm using Fabric 1.21 with yarn mappings. Um, Learning how the build system worked. That was fun. That shit, like, isn't this great? Unless you like know what you're looking at here, it's not even readable. You need comments, but no one comments this stuff ever. I had to find a mod that also used the build system I was using, um, that was also using yarn mappings to figure out, oh, I needed to include the Sentinel version of this library, and that was it. That shit had me stumped for God knows how long. I think it was an entire like day and a half just trying to figure that out. It's why did you do this? Why did it go red? Okay, I'm just gonna not pay attention to that. This shit's trifling. Holy shit. Oh my god. Okay, I think it's okay. Anyways, but yeah, no, it's a really interesting process because most of it, especially with yarn mappings, it's very intuitive. Um, if you've ever programmed before, oh, why is my companion object? You can tell this was the first class I made because most of my little conventions I don't use in this class because I've learned this has essentially taught me how to program in Kotlin and moreover in Java as an extension because um, I know the entire C family, C, C++, C Sharp, all of that, including including a bit of F Sharp and Visual Basic, but I wouldn't consider Visual Basic in there. Anyways, but I know most of that stuff, so learning Java was really just syntax and learning and trying to figure out why everything had a get and set and why everything was private and why everything needed a builder, which I kind of figured out now. It's just the easiest to do. Also, I love that Fabric uses events a lot, like this. Oh, that's technically from Cobblemon, but it's heavy on the events, and I like that. I love event-based programming. Um, but yeah, this should be commented out because this was testing another feature I wanted to add to the mod. So this whole mod, I should probably explain what I want out of this mod. This mod is essentially a mod that I want to RPG-ify Cobblemon. I want to keep it in the same range that Cobblemon wants to be in, feel-wise. Because it's supposed to feel like an extension of Minecraft. It's not supposed to be Pixelmon, where there's 3D models, and nothing looks like it was really supposed to be in Minecraft. It's Pixelmon is Pokemon on top of Minecraft. Cobblemon is supposed to be Pokemon in Minecraft, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm gonna be doing that a lot. But I want to do that. I want to seamlessly integrate the two. And one thing I really thought lacked in Cobblemon is a lack of tools, weapons, all that. So I added some items. I'm gonna go over those first. So first off, all these can, I'll explain those in a second, but I added Tinkaton hammer, a firestone pickaxe, and a leafstone shovel. Let me show you the models for that. I also learned block bench for this. That was actually really cool. Modeling is fun. Modeling is fun, especially in block bench where it's heavily simplified, unlike Blender, where Blender is very powerful, but it has a learning curve, a very steep one that you could fall down and probably die. No, I don't want that. But yeah, using Blockbench was really interesting. I didn't think I'd like texturing, but there's enough tools in Blockbench to make texturing fun. To make it not annoying. You know what I mean? Yeah. I also don't know how to speak on video yet. So you're gonna hear a lot of you know and fuck and shit and all that shit. But let's go ahead and get all the tools. Tinkaton hammer, firestone pickaxe. Let's get leafstone shovel. Alright. So I'm planning to add the other tools as well. Also, I'm going to shift this the other way so it looks the same as the shovel, and also make the shovel's icon a bit smaller. Like I said, I'm new to modeling. Also, these models are terrible, by the way. I said it was fun. I never said I was good at it. Yeah, the Tinkaton hammer, completely off model, by the way. It is a crude representation of Tinkaton hammer, of Tinkaton's hammer. Of Tinkaton hammer. Anyways, so yeah, I'm just trying to get my toes wet, you know, in everything. I'm trying to learn everything first. But first off, let me show off this. So it's essentially a cross between a sword and a mace, yet it accepts mace enchantments. So if I do Minecraft, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know the mace enchantments. Yeah, density 5, boom. So, you know, if I were to go down and hit that thing, it dies instantly. Also, just 15.5 damage. I'm thinking about changing that later. But I want it to be very end game, and I want it to be obtained through a special process that I'm trying to flesh out right now. Also, a good bit of modding is knowing game design, which is fun, and I'll talk more about that later. So I just inadvertently showed you the Firestone pickaxe. Let's go ahead and drop that. It has a very rough model, I would like to add. Very rough. I need to go over the handle texture again, and one of the UVs, you can see it, the UV on the very furthest right, here, let me full screen. This UV right here is messed up. I don't know why, but it's just a compressed version of the other side's UV. Here, once it spins again, I'll show you. So that looks normal. That side is not normal. I don't know why. I seriously do not know why. I will fix that soon. But you can see on this one, ability Rock Smash slams down airborne enemies, and it applies resistance 1 for 5 seconds. That's not actually what it does right now. I'm trying to get it to apply a custom effect. Ooh, I just missed that. I think that says a lot about me. But I'm trying to get it to apply a custom effect, where enemies take 10% times the tier of damage. But that's not, I have to use mix-ins for that, and I'm still learning how to use mix-ins, so I know those are also fairly easy. I'm just trying to do it right, even though I probably shouldn't be worrying about doing it right the first time. That's essentially what this whole project is, so I can just get my toes deep and wet. Yeah, so it applies a downward vector to all airborne enemies. It's gonna be really hard to show off. Like, really hard to show off. I think I got it to work on phantoms once. Time set night. So I summon Minecraft Phantom. What? Did I send like let's summon it 10 blocks above me, please. Oh, what? Am I skitzing? Dude. Okay, I might be skitzing out. Okay. I will just get a phantom spawn egg. I fear I've broken something. Wait, you'll check. Nope, that's right. Okay. Anyways. Oh, it's on peaceful. That's what's happening. Okay. So as you can tell, I'm very intelligent. That's why I picked this up so fast. So yeah, it applies a downward vector to all flying things. Honestly, right now, it just works on phantoms. I really tried to make a lot of the items interesting, which is why 2 of them technically aren't done. Because I want to have at least 2 abilities on each item. 2 or 1, depending on how easy it is or hard it is to get. And I want them to be decent, fun abilities so players have an incentive to use them. Because as of right now, the hammer is barely, I think it's between diamond and netherite. So if someone really wanted to and they didn't think they'd get any use out of the, oh, I have to make that attack speed slower. But if they didn't think they'd get any use out of the hammer's abilities, they could easily use a netherite axe or something to do like close DPS equivalent of damage. I want to give them a choice. I don't want to outclass the vanilla tools, but I do want to allow the character to specialize. Like I said, I want to RPGify Cobblemon. Yeah, and I think one of the better ways to do that is to give players not like a, ooh, you know, here we have the best item in the game ever. Instead, I want to give them like, oh, I have a choice between this item and this item. Because if you don't have a choice, then it's not really a scale progression. It's more of a line instead of like, I don't know. It's more of a line upwards instead of like, oh, I could get this here or I could do this later, and because I like this item. You know, I like the freedom of choice. I do not like the illusion of it, if that makes sense. Anyways, so yeah, that was the Tinkaton hammer. I'm gonna show off the Firestone pickaxe next. So these, both the Firestone Pickaxe and the Leafstone Shovel, they are under a material called Evo Stone. Evo Stone is between iron and diamond. It's very, very slightly better than iron. Its durability is nothing to write home about. And I think its damage and attack speed is on par with iron. Let's go ahead and see if I'm right. Iron sword. I guess I should do pickaxe. Yeah, it's just barely better. But if I get diamond pickaxe, I think it'll do the same. Yeah. But both of their attack speeds is lower, so the overall DPS is going to be normal. In any case, it automatically smelts all the blocks broken. Everyone loves an auto smelt effect in mod packs. Let's be real here. We're all very lazy. Yeah, that's literally it. It works with fortune. It works with everything else. It's just auto smelt. I want to add another effect to it to kind of up the usefulness of it. I'm thinking about having a chance to double the drops of an Evo Stone ore. So if you find a Firestone ore, if you mine it, it has a chance to double it, and maybe plays a little fanfare sound. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the Firestone shovel. I mean, that's the Firestone pickaxe. Next one is the Leafstone shovel. Right now it has no ability. Right now it just takes after the description of the Firestone pickaxe. As you can see, it's slightly better than a iron shovel, and I think I'm just gonna make it so it mines dirt and grass instantly. That's it. I mean, that's what most people, I assume what most people are going to be using the shovel for. Yeah, so those are the items in the mod right now. They're nothing really special. I'm just happy that I modeled them, you know? Like, I'm very happy to say that these are my models, even though they're terrible. If I ever do upload this mod, it will come with a disclaimer like, hey, I know I'm a terrible artist, so you can do whatever with my models. You can steal my models for all I care. That's like stealing a few quarters out my wallet. It'll make me slightly upset, but unless I come around like a gumball machine or something, dude, I don't need those quarters. Great analogy, by the way. Anyways, so yeah, if anyone ever is like, hey, I can do better models for you, then I'll probably be like, yes sir, please, one model please. I might even pay for it, depending on if people actually use the mod. If not, I am a-okay with these models. Like, you don't understand. I do not care about art, I mostly care about functionality. Which is why I'm going to show off the next item, which is the Pika functionality. And it's the ones I was talking about earlier. It's the Hint Ability Boost Ring and the Shiny Charm Tiers. So, essentially, for this mod pack, I want there to be Shiny Charms. But most Shiny Charms, available right now, mod-wise, they're very weird with how they work. They will either set the shiny chance to a flat number, or give you another roll, which essentially doubles your shiny chance. Not really for me. Not really at all. So right now, I have an influence, right? Influences in the Cobblemon mod, as I've come to kind of realize, is whenever a Pokemon is spawned, if an influence is present, then it will affect what happens. So, in an action, a spawn action is something that is called before the mob spawns. An effect spawn is something that happens after the mob is spawned, and you actually have the entity, and it's like actually in the world. So yeah, shiny has to be declared and edited before it's in the world. Otherwise, you will see a Pokemon pop into existence, and you might see its unshiny form for like a split second, which I'd find pretty funny. So yeah, I essentially have a new attribute that my mod has added. Let's see if I can go ahead and find it. Minecraft tags, item. Sorry. Man, where's come on Solaris? Huh. Anyways, so I can't find the tag. Yeah, no. So I don't have it there in my resources, but it is under attributes, Solaris attributes, and I have two attributes that go with this mod that will work if any mod decides to add them. They are Hidden Ability Chance Boost and Shiny Chance Boost. This one's a mouthful. I know, I probably should have just made it HA Chance Boost, but I had to be special and write out the entire fucking name. Cause I'm a little on the slow side. Anyways, they both have a max of 100. Actually no, this one has a max of 1, because a Pokemon can only be so hidden ability. But the shiny chance, that goes up to, I think, 1000%, or whatever the shiny chance is. Anyways, so yeah. So there are 3 items right now that kind of use those attributes. And an attribute for an item can literally be anything, like attack speed or attack damage, or here, let me give a P. Actually, let me just change my game mode to creative so I can show off what an attribute is. Let's see here. Yeah. So this has an attribute, win on head plus 2 armor. That's an attribute. It's different from a regular helmet. Oh, never mind. Sorry. It's not different from a regular helmet, but it is. These are both attributes. In my case, this attribute triggers when the item is equipped as an accessory. And this item it's compatible with this accessory mod that I found. I just needed a accessory mod because most of them have compats between them. So if someone got a different one, like trinkets, it would still be compatible, as long as they have that compat, which hopefully they do. I might just make it necessary for my mod, who knows. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and spawn all those in. Let's see here, come on Solaris. Cool. So tier 1, tier 2, and hidden ability ring. So these are the shiny charms. Their sprites are off. They are 64 by 64 because I needed the room, because that's the same resolution that apparently Pokemon item sprites. This is just an edited version of the in-game shiny charm sprite. I would like to note that. These are not my sprites. I am not too good at spriting complex objects. But yeah, these both have an attribute, when equipped, plus 15 shiny chance, when equipped, plus 30% shiny chance. And this one is actually modeled, just because I thought it'd be really easy to model, which it is. It's just a gold ring. But yeah, they essentially add a flat multiplier. This one is going to be like 1.15% chance, or technically it's 85. It multiplies the shiny chance, the max shiny chance, which if I go to, where is it, config, the shiny rate for Cobblemon, which is going to be like, God, 8,096, sorry. Which is how it was in the earlier generation games before it got before it went to 4,096. Oh, sorry, wait, 8,192. That's I was mixing them up. But it's 4,096 in the later games. So it multiplies 8,192, the original shiny chance, by a certain amount, and it gives you that chance. So let's go ahead and go to shiny influence. Yep, it divides it by the shiny chance influence, and then it gets the next integer, which means it's given a range from which to generate a number, and the lower that range is, the higher chance you will get 0. So that's what it's happening at the bottom here, if you've been wondering. I always keep tally of this just to see what's being affected or not. And I'll show you something in a second if I remember that affects it. That isn't the charms. So yeah, as soon as I put one of these on, let's put on the tier 2 one. You'll see at the bottom there, once I generate some new spawns, yeah, the denominator went from 8,192 to 6,301, which means that my rolls have a 30% chance, 30% better chance to fall under 0, fall to 0. So yeah, it's it works damn well. I can tell you that. And there isn't really a mod that provides an attribute compatibility to make these, you know, because I'm sure there's tons of customs mod packs and servers that would love to have an attribute that could directly change the shiny chance, you know. Like, I don't know why it hasn't been done before, but I'm doing it. So yeah. Okay, I'm also gonna speak about hidden ability ring. So as you can see down there, the denominator went from 200 to 190, 5% chance better. Right now, the hidden ability chance for this one, in Cobblemon, hidden ability can't occur naturally in wild Pokemon. So I just added it. I really do not see the harm in it. I don't know why it's added right now. Maybe because they want to wait to implement it better, but right now it is a 1 in 200 chance normally. With this little ring, it's 1 in 90. So yeah, and it literally just goes through all your accessories, gets it, and adds the modifier value. That's literally it. And if it finds it, it forces the Pokemon entity to have an ability. All of this is copied from someone else's. It's some like ability patch mod, but that's just straight up copied. I want to get that out of the air. A good, I wouldn't say a good chunk, but a few things are copied. Especially when I really didn't know what I was doing, which is a lot of the stuff I'm showing you right now. So I think maybe, let's see here, this is copied. Yes, this is copied. Okay, never mind. I changed a good bit of it up. But let's see. This isn't copied. I was working on that. This whole project is really a mess right now. I would like to add. And I'm working to tidy it all up. Which leads me to my next thing. This I've been working on this for around 2 to 3 days. This is what most of my time has been put into, because this is essentially like a mod of gameplay ideas that I think would be cool in Cobblemon. And that is, you probably saw them, Poke Traps, right? These things, pretty cool. I'm gonna show you the code side first. Actually, I'll show you how they work first. So you put down a trap. You can put a bait in there. So I want to put this in there. and then you wait. Right now I have the trap to set to basically close instantly. Yeah, it checks every tick. So yeah, and then once it's closed, there's a little Pokemon inside. We don't know which one. We don't know which one. Oh, let's hit fucking 360. Boom. Nidoran female. So how this works is, yep, there it is. How this works is, God, okay, I have to fucking open this back up. This was a bitch. I learned how block entities work. It's quite intuitive, honestly. It's really cool. So this Poketrap block, there's gonna be multiple tiers of it. So this one's a basic one. It's obviously just made out of wood and stick. This was quite a pain to, honestly it wasn't too bad to model, just because I didn't really have to do any texturing on the box. I'm gonna be honest, I just used the oak blade texture, because I did not feel like texturing that thing. But yeah, essentially what it does is every second let me go ahead and find the ticker. Is it going to be under block entity? Yes, it is. So first it checks if it's on the server, which, you know, if the world is null and the world is not the client, or the world is the client, then, you know, you're not on the server. And it checks the block state. I also did block states, so that's why I said I technically had a few more models than I originally thought. Basic Poketrap, it has for open and close and all directions, which was quite easy to implement. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it would be a bigger pain in the ass. I think this whole thing was me kind of realizing that a lot of this stuff was quite easy to do. You just have to put your toes in. You have to lick those toes, get them all wet. You know, get your toes wet. But yeah. So every tick that it's not open. I mean, that's not closed. If it is open, saving some keep your battery, I guess. Yeah. Also, if you see any comments, please know I was probably sleep deprived when I wrote them, and I don't mean anything by it, even if one's like a threat or something against probably you personally. I wouldn't be surprised if your name was there. I don't know, man. Anyways, capture roll. It gets an integer for every it gets an integer for the amount of the trap chance. So the lower the trap chance, the higher chance that it's gonna trigger. Right now I have it at 600. There's some math you can do to find out on average how many times it's gonna trigger, or on average when it's gonna trigger. And I think 5 minutes is 12,000, and I kind of want it around that 5 minute to 10 minute range, because I don't want this to be too OP. I want this to be something you can check on every now and then and be like, oh, I caught a little guy. And if it's not a little guy you want, you like beat the shit out of it or whatever. So yeah. Let us go ahead and yeah, let's take a look at this. Most of this is just stuff having to do with the block rendering, rotate, mirror, placement states, all that. That's all fun. Even the outline. I used to have an old outline that I generated from the model. That was interesting because the outlines, at least whatever plugin I used, didn't like rotate them. So it would just be a box floating in the air because of how, here, since it's propped up and rotated like this, if there isn't any rotation done to it, the box just floats. And it looks really fucking dumb. The outline, at least. That's a little box around it. Yeah, the ticker, and yes. So every time the trap is right-clicked on when it's closed, it attempts to roll for a spawn. And that's where this folder comes in, and all of these files. That was really interesting. At least 4 of these files don't need to exist. I'm going to give you a heads up. But I went through a lot of iterations of this, and I still am kind of iffy on how I want it to work. And I'll tell you how it's working right now, and then I'll tell you how I want it to work in the future. Or how I'd like it to work. How... I wouldn't even want it to work. It would be more intuitive if it worked the way I'm about to explain, or if it worked the way I'll explain later. But right now, you can add a bait to it, obviously, and the bait is used upon it opening. So if I try and get the bait back now, there's nothing. But if I put that in, I can get my oranberry back. But yeah. Essentially, it tries to roll for a trap spawn. And how this works is, as you can see here, this is probably, yeah, that comment really tells you a lot. But this method here, I'll talk about this if I have some more time. It will be a rant, it won't be informational at all. Anyways, there was probably a better way to do this. But essentially, each PokeTrap block class has a static variable that defines the pool that it's going to use. This one, the base one, is an abstract class, so it's never going to be called. There's no block called PokeTrap block. But basic PokeTrap, that one does exist, so it does have a pool. And I don't know how I feel about writing that in code, writing some of the stuff in code. That should definitely be in a JSON or some data file format. Also, that was all, actually I guess I'll keep that around so I can show you what it looked like in the past. But essentially right now, what it does is you have one parent pool that contains a ton of children pools. And each child pool has its own name. As you can see here, I create a pool with the bucket rarity common, which I might be removing soon. Anyways, with the bucket rarity common, and it's called Honey Pool. And when you edit it, it gives you access, just straight up access to it in full. I don't know if I should like do something about that, but it gives you full access to it, just for the sake of this little box right here, so I can edit it, add Pokemon to it, because each child pool has a list of Pokemon with weights that it can spawn. Here, let me go ahead and change this. Like I said, I'm still actively working on this. Yeah, that doesn't need to exist. Anyways, so yeah, so this honey pool, it has a conditional where it only triggers if the parent block has the bait item of Minecraft Honeycomb. Yeah, and in it, it has just bee-like Pokemon and perhaps a Pokemon that would like honey. But I think this pool right here really shows off what I'm trying to do better. So it has a rarity of common, it's called Forest Pool, and it checks for a biome, first off. Which essentially just expands out into this code, which just checks for whatever biome is listed there. Oops. Dot add conditional. A lot of this is still testing code that I was trying to more or less figure out. Yeah, that can go actually. That doesn't need to exist. That was testing code, but it's just really basic, non-rare Pokemon. They all spawn at a level between the player's lowest party member and the player's highest party member. So if the player has level 5 to 10 Pokemon in their party, they're gonna get level 5 to 10 Pokemon. If they have 80 to 100, they'll get 80 to 100. I didn't really feel like gaming the system on that. I might add a minimum level to each pool, but that's more or less on the to-do list of customizability for these pools. But right now they're pretty customizable. It has all these Pokemon, with Pichu being the rarest at a weight of 4. Yeah. And let's see here. Yes, modifiers. So along with child pools in this parent pool, there are also modifiers. These modifiers are triggered whenever a Pokemon is selected from a pool. So this modifier, it checks for a bait in the block. It checks for a raspberry. Bless you. Anyways, it checks for a raspberry, and if it finds that, it will set the nature to a nature that increases the stat attack. Yeah. And same with this, except for special attack. And then this is more or less what I was trying to get into with the traps. Because I really wanted the traps to be a way to get Pokemon with more narrowed down stats. So you don't have to go searching for a Pokemon with X IVs or X nature, you know, but it still doesn't give you it for free just for having an item. You still have to be like, oh, okay, there's still some, like, you still have to gamble. You still have to gamble. People love gambling. There's still that dopamine rush when you actually get the Pokemon that has the stat spread or the nature that you want, you know? So for Oranberry, which is a very, very common berry, it simply adds 1 max IV to the Pokemon that spawns. And that's it. 1 max IV is very good. Knowing that the Pokemon you're gonna get has at least 1 maximum IV is a pretty damn good deal. That's why I'm going to make the traps more on the expensive side. Yeah, and then Nigma Berry, which is a very hard berry to get. It essentially gives you 2 hit ability rolls, which divides whatever the chances at by 2. So right now it would be oh, sorry about that. Anyways, it'd be like 95. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it just gives the Pokemon an ability if the second roll goes through. Yeah. This is by far more intuitive than what I used to have. What I used to have was this mess. So this sets the parent pool, and all pools had to have a preset minimum max IV per Pokemon. It had, and you could add post-spawn modifiers, which is essentially what these are, but they had to be in the pool. And settings, which is pretty much deprecated by now, had made it so you could add a biome that it could use, a bucket, and a bait item. It wasn't very modular. As you can see, this is a rendition of the honeycomb pool, except with a forced hit ability, 1 in 8 chance for hit ability. It's just not what I wanted at the time, because if I wanted it to make it so it only did this while it was raining, like you can only get a Pokemon from the honeycomb pool while it's raining, I'd have to add a brand new function to add weather, then I'd have to check the weather manually, and do all of that. But instead, now I can just do conditional.add and then check the world's weather. As simple as that. That's why I like event-based and callback-based programming a lot. It adds a lot to the modularity of a program, instead of having to write .add item .add biome. Instead, it checks that, and for example, if I want to check multiple biomes, I just added a builder for a callback that would just say, hey, give me some biome IDs, and if any of them are found in the current biome, then return true. And that's it. Very easy, very, 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 very modular. Oh, sorry. So yeah, and I'm thinking about turning this into a map, just for ease of writability. If you know Kotlin, I'm probably gonna use the pair thing, the little pair keyword, like onyx to 20 or something like that. So it pairs to a weight. It could be interesting. It could be easier to write. I don't know. So yeah. There also used to be a bug where buckets weren't being selected correctly. Because right now, what it does is it checks the conditions of all the pools to see which are viable for the current biome, the current weather, and all of that, and the current altitude. And it says, okay, well, there are no common pools that we can pick from, only an uncommon pool, and maybe 2 epic pools. Okay, then let's just make epic pool the lowest bucket we can go to, and then we just roll for the pools. Boom. Boom. Done. Awesome. And it won't roll a common, and it won't give you nothing because there is no common pool. However, if you, let's say, I don't know, bring it to a biome that it doesn't have a pool set up for, knockover, please. Please, knockover? There it is. Trap was empty and the bait is untouched. It's basically telling the player, hey, this biome doesn't have any pools. You can't catch anything in this biome with traps. Also wanted to add, I also wanted to make them biodependent, which they weren't originally biome-dependent. But I want to make them biodependent because it kind of forces the player to go out to biomes where this Pokemon would actually spawn, perhaps, perchance, maybe. And I'll touch back on that later. The pools that I set up do not align with the Pokemon's actual spawns. But it forces them to go out and explore, so if they want, I don't know, a fucking Nidoran male, then they have to go to a mountain. They have to go to a jagged peaks biome, and they have to set up a trap there, and perhaps set up shop there for a little bit, waiting for the trap. You know? And since the traps are kind of a thing you wait on, I'd say it encourages building in other places. Maybe set up a little shit shack, or maybe set up a little road or waypoint or a waystone to and fro. You know? Yeah. So that's Poketraps. And I'm gonna talk about what they might become in the future, depending on if I really think it's a good direction to go in. There's only maybe 4 pools for it right now, and those are all testing pools. The only pool that's maybe final is the mountains pool. But essentially what I wanted, what I think would be more intuitive for players, is for it to select a Pokemon that would spawn. It's basically going to imitate a Pokemon spawn, but with the bait modifiers. So a natural Pokemon spawn, except, you know, if you put in an Oranberry, it has one more max IV than usual. You know? Um, so it gives the player that certainty and that ability to control what they get. And the same game mechanic, except it just uses Cobblemon's spawning system instead of mine. Which, yeah, yeah. It takes the customizability out of it. Um, which is a big reason why I wanted to set up the little Poketrap system. Because I wanted to customize it myself. But it would also just be better if I, like, did it the other way. I don't know. I don't know. And I think that's everything in the mod as it is right now. There's a few things that I probably haven't shown off, like the effects and the entities, but those can be covered later. Everything that's done or is close to being done, I've shown you, which it's not a lot, but I'm also learning and getting faster at doing this along the way. Because as you can see, the trap thing, it required a lot of work. It required a lot of work, and it wasn't it was fun to make, but it was quite tiring after a certain point, redoing everything over and over and over again. Because this has gone through 3 iterations. And I think the iteration right now is the one I'm happiest with as is. If I ever decide to overhaul the mod, I will probably go with the other way. But right now, I'm happy with this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah. Alright, thanks.